I think it's this one here, 2CW.
Caroline Whitehall, your great-grandmother. Condition as to marriage, married.
Yeah. 51.
Lunatic.
No.
Yes, look. She was a lunatic.
Jack and Michael have discovered that Jack's great-grandfather and Michael's grandfather, Richard Ernest Baxter Whitehall, known as R.E.B., was the son of Richard Whitehall, a commercial traveller, and his wife, Caroline Baxter. And they've been told that R.E.B.'s parents both died when he was young. To find out what happened to R.E.B. after he was orphaned, Jack and Michael are searching the census.
So let's see where he is in the 1881 census.
He was Richard Ernest Baxter Whitehall, R.E.B., hence.
Date of birth? 1870. Enter. So here he is, R.E.B. Rank, profession or occupation, scholar. This says schools.
Right.
What does that mean? Commercial traveller.
Commercial traveller, yes. A boarding school for commercial travellers.
In Pinner.
It's very, very peculiar.
So are we to believe that R.E.B., by this point, in 1881, is all by himself in the world? Richard Sr. and Caroline had already perished, and he has been taken into this school in Pinner.
Yeah, to train as a commercial traveller.
Jack and Michael have come to the site of the Commercial Travellers' School, where R.E.B. was a pupil, to meet historian Jane Hamlet.
How do you do?
Hello.
Michael.
Lovely to meet you.
So this school was specifically for commercial travellers. But would a child of that age know he wanted to be a commercial traveller? It doesn't quite, I don't quite understand.
No, well, in fact, the school was set up for the children of commercial travellers.
Right.
So really the idea was that commercial travelling was quite precarious, and if the father died early, the family would be left impoverished and there would be no means of paying for the education of a son or daughter.
Touring the country as a sales rep meant that R.E.B.'s father, Richard Whitehall, spent much of his time away from his family. Life on the road could expose commercial travellers to all sorts of temptations.
So this is actually an after-dinner speech given by Dickens in the 1850s, and Dickens was the honorary chair of the Commercial Travellers' School. So in this speech, he's talking a little bit about the life of commercial travellers.
I have no doubt we could all be very eloquent on the comforts of our favourite hotel, its beds, its stables, its excellent cheese, its pigeon pies, or its 1820 port. Or possibly we could recall our chaste and innocent admiration of its landlady, or our fraternal regard for its handsome chambermaid.
He's basically alluding to the fact that a man who was moving around and potentially fraternising with women who were, you know, of dubious moral repute was seen as potentially problematic.
My father was a commercial traveller, but I mean, he was a very well-behaved one. And I think my mother was always a bit suspicious of him.
You don't know that?
What?
That he was well behaved?
No,
You're too young to know. Maybe he was with handsome chambermaids. You have no idea. So do you have any more information on why R.E.B. ended up coming to this school?
Yes, we do. So this is the report for August 1880, showing us what happened when pupils first came in.
Here we are. Richard Ernest Baxter Whitehall, son of Richard Whitehall, Birmingham, aged 9, the only child under mother's care who is in very delicate health. So when he came to the school...
His mother was alive.
She was alive. He wasn't an orphan, torn away from his mother and sent to a boarding school aged 9.
They believed that this would help boys learn to be men, so to our eyes, really, that's sort of quite...
Barbaric.
Yeah.
To send a child away to boarding school
cruel.
to make them more masculine.
Yeah.
That's an archaic practice that, I mean,
No one would do that now.
It works for some people, doesn't it?
Some people. Other people, it just causes long-lasting trauma and an inability to form proper emotional bonds and relationships with people.
Yes.
Now, under Mother's care, who is in very delicate health, can you shed any more light on his mother?
So this is the census from 1881. People's full names aren't given. They've just listed their initials. So we're looking for CW on the list.
Yeah, I think it's this one here, 2CW.
Caroline Whitehall, your great-grandmother. Condition as to marriage, married.
Yeah, 51.
Lunatic.
No.
Yes, look. She was a lunatic.
It's a term that's used to categorise the mentally ill. So basically, anyone who was resident in an asylum in this period would automatically be categorised as a lunatic.
I mean, to say that she was a lunatic, I mean, I know you say that had a slightly different meaning in those days, but it still isn't great, is it?
The family rumour was that she died of grief after her husband's pony and trap accident. But maybe she was depressed or sad and grief-stricken, so they just put her in here.
We do have the front page for that set of census entries, and you can see this tells us actually exactly where she was at the time.
St Andrew's Hospital for Mental Diseases, Northampton. And does this still exist, this place?
Yes, it does.
I wonder what became of her. So, Richard Whitehall, the travelling salesman, has a pony and trap accident. Maybe he was tired from travelling. Maybe he'd been up all night with a busty chambermaid and that's why he was tired. Whatever Dickens said, that maybe he was a bit of a shagger.
I don't think Dickens actually specifically said he was a shagger.
Well,
I don't think he was referring to him particularly.
I think he was insinuating. His dad dies, his mother is grief-stricken and sent to a lunatic asylum. Not a great start for little R.E.B.
St Andrew's Hospital in Northampton was founded in 1838 and is still a psychiatric hospital. Jack and Michael have come to the hospital's chapel to look at Caroline's patient records with Professor Hilary Marland.
Lovely to meet you and welcome to the chapel of St Andrew's Hospital.
Thank you very much.
So we know that my great-great-grandmother, Caroline, was here. We were wondering whether you could shed a little bit more light onto what became of her.
The first of these documents is the hospital's casebook. This passage here would describe Caroline's condition when she was admitted into the hospital.
I'm struggling to read this.
We've transcribed some of the extracts from the casebook.
Whitehall Caroline, admitted April 9th, 1880, age 50. She has fixed delusions on the subject of her position, believes herself married to a Mr. Jackson who has no existence. Her sister states that she is changed in her disposition and has on occasion said she would cut her throat. Wow. So when we saw lunatic in that book, we assumed that that was just a sort of Victorian thing. They would call anyone with any kind of grief or depression a lunatic, but reading something like that suggests that she had something that was a lot more severe and a lot more serious.
April 10th, it says, has all the appearance of a general paralytic affected with mania.
This affected a great many patients at this time, and it refers to a condition that's a result of late-stage syphilis. So this is when the disease infects the brain.
It's horrible.
I mean, I'm completely speechless, which is rare for me.